Angel Reese's recent meltdown didn't come out of nowhere. After Caitlin Clark's $8 million LPGA partnership went public, Reese launched a series of erratic social media posts and unsubtle jabs at athletes, running to other sports for validation. Her attempt to pivot into golf-related content backfired spectacularly, drawing ridicule and ultimately being pulled. According to those close to the situation, Reese had unsuccessfully tried to secure similar deals months earlier, but was deemed too high risk by sponsors. In contrast, Clark's quiet professionalism and philanthropic work have positioned her as a safe bet for major brands, turning her into the highest-paid woman in basketball history by year's end. This financial and reputational gap is no longer just a matter of endorsements.
If you're here for the real story and not the filtered version, subscribe. And if you're sticking around for the next meltdown, you better definitely subscribe.
It's reshaping how women's sports are marketed and consumed. Clark's approach resonates with audiences and stakeholders alike, building long-term value and elevating the league's image. Reese's tactics, once seen as bold, now read as desperate. Industry experts warn that unless she pivots quickly, her relevance may slip away entirely, leaving Clark and others to define the future of women's athletics without her. Caitlin Clark just inked an $8 million golf deal while recovering from injury, and somehow that sent Angel Reese into a full-blown spiral. Not just behind closed doors, online, in public, and in front of industry insiders who are now watching the gap between these two women widen faster than anyone expected. Let's be real. This was supposed to be a rivalry that elevated the sport, and for a while it did. Two breakout stars, both confident, both bold, both pushing women's basketball into mainstream conversation. But fast forward to now, and it's no longer a rivalry. It's a split-screen disaster, and one side's clearly thriving while the other is rapidly burning bridges. While Caitlin Clark quietly locked in a historic partnership with the LPGA worth $6 to $8 million over 2 years. Yes, a golf deal. Angel Reese was busy posting vague, chaotic tweets, ranting about validation, and doubling down on the drama that's become her personal brand. And if that wasn't enough, Clark's golf crossover is just the first domino. Nike and LPGA are gearing up for a $15 million campaign during the 2026 Super Bowl, starring Clark. One of the biggest media moments of the year, and Clark is at the center of it. Now, while that's happening, Reese's brand, it's crumbling. Social media antics that used to generate buzz now feel forced. Her cryptic posts, her "I don't need to run to other sports for validation" line during a WNBA players' meeting. It all reeks of desperation, especially since it came just days after Clark's deal was announced. And her peers? Not amused. That meeting moment didn't land the way Reese thought it would. Instead, it sparked side eyes, awkward silences, and a few not-so-subtle comments from fellow players who made it clear they're done with the noise. They're here to grow the game. Reese, on the other hand, is stuck trying to stay viral. Meanwhile, Clark's on a different trajectory entirely. She's not clapping back. She's not subtweeting. She's not even commenting. And still, her career is exploding. She's doing media appearances, launching foundations, and putting up record-breaking endorsement numbers. Quietly, strategically, professionally. That contrast is everything. Because Caitlin Clark is now projected to earn over $20 million this year alone. That would make her the highest-paid women's basketball player in history. Let that sink in. Not just the face of the WNBA, but the face of cross-sport marketing. Brands trust her, executives respect her, and fans keep showing up. Angel Reese, on the other hand, is watching her marketability plummet. Failed endorsement attempts, sponsorships pulling back, even a recent push to create golf-related content, clearly a last-ditch attempt to follow Clark's footsteps, fell flat. The audience didn't buy it, and neither did the industry. And here's where things start to get uncomfortable. Reese isn't just hurting herself, she's hurting the sport. The same sport she once helped push into the spotlight. Her behavior, her outbursts, her erratic online presence. It's reinforcing every tired stereotype about women athletes that we've been trying to break for years. That's not just our opinion. It's coming from inside the league. Players, sponsors, Even managers are pointing out that while Clark is helping reframe what women's sports can be, Reese is dragging it back down. The drama, the meltdowns, the constant self-sabotage, it's creating friction in a moment that should be about growth. What's worse, the gap in public support is starting to show. Clark's games are selling out. Stadium attendance is up. Merch sales are up. Sponsors are fighting over her time. Reese's teams, meanwhile, are struggling to fill seats. Events she's involved in are drawing more headlines for her outbursts than her performance. That's not just a perception issue. That's a financial one. And it's affecting everyone around her. This whole situation has gone from rivalry to reputational collapse. And it didn't have to be like this. Reese had the talent. She had the moment. But instead of evolving, she tried to hold on as shock value. And when that didn't work, she got louder, then angrier, then messier. And now, she's alienating fans, peers, and sponsors alike. Meanwhile, Clark is setting a new standard. She's showing what it looks like to build legacy without the spectacle. Philanthropy, professionalism, presence. She's redefining the playbook. Her rise is calculated, sustainable, and industry-backed. That's why she's being handed Super Bowl campaigns and cross-port deals while staying mostly silent. This isn't just about personality. It's about results. Reese's behavior has consequences. She's lost sponsorships, lost goodwill, and according to insiders, lost interest from future collaborators who now view her as a liability. And there's real frustration within the league. Not just because of Reese's fall from grace, but because she's making it harder for others. Younger players trying to break in, veterans trying to keep the momentum going. They're now having to answer for her outbursts, and many are tired of doing it. Industry insiders are calling it what it is, a cautionary tale. Reese is becoming the example used in branding meetings of what happens when the image overshadows the game. When controversy becomes the currency. When the talent doesn't evolve but the ego does. Meanwhile, Clark is showing the opposite. She's leveraging every opportunity into long-term positioning. She's making sure her name means something beyond basketball. That's why she's not just respected, she's trusted. And in the business of sports, trust is everything. And this trust, it's turning into real power. She's influencing how athlete branding works. She's proving that you can be low drama and still high impact. That you can dominate the market without dominating the conversation. That staying silent can be louder than any viral clip. That's why Caitlin Clark isn't just a player right now. She's a case study. For agents, for brands, for future athletes. And Angel Reese? She's becoming the warning label. Because here's what everyone's seeing now. When one of them rises, she brings the league with her. The other? She risks taking it down with her. It's brutal. It's undeniable. And it's happening in real time. So where does Reese go from here? She still has a chance to course correct. But she has to stop chasing headlines and start chasing consistency. She has to rebuild trust with fans, with brands, with her own peers. And that starts with owning the moment, not denying it, not lashing out, not doubling down on the chaos. But let's be honest, it's a long road back. And Clark? She's already miles ahead. With an LPGA deal that shattered expectations, a $15 million Super Bowl campaign on the horizon, and a reputation that's only getting stronger. This rivalry may have started as equals, but it's no longer even close. Let's know your thoughts in the comments. Is Angel Reese too far gone to rebound from this? Or can she still turn it around before the door closes completely? Do you think Caitlin Clark's silent rise is the new standard for athlete branding? Hit that like button if you've been watching this unfold. Share the video with someone who's been following the Reese versus Clark dynamic. And don't forget to subscribe for more deep dives into the meltdowns, missteps, and media chaos dominating the headlines. Because if this is where women's sports is heading, one thing's for sure. The spotlight's never been hotter. And not everyone can handle the heat. Caitlin Clark is building an empire. And Angel Reese is stuck trying to hold onto a moment that's already passed. This is no longer just a career contrast. It's a cultural turning point. Clark has become the face of the next era of women's sports. Not just because she can shoot the lights out or move merch, but because she represents something bigger. long-term strategy, quiet power, and the kind of influence that stretches beyond basketball. She's the athlete who rewrote the rules without needing to say a word. Every move she makes, every deal she signs, it all fits into a bigger picture. And now, that picture includes an $8 million LPGA partnership and a Super Bowl-level campaign backed by Nike. She didn't need to switch sports to stay relevant. She expanded, smartly, carefully, during her injury recovery, no less. While other players might have taken that time to rest or rehab in silence, Clark was in rooms with industry execs, shaping multi-million-dollar deals and cross-platform strategies. And she wasn't flaunting it. There were no live streams, no angry tweets, no cryptic Instagram captions. Just business. Meanwhile, Angel Reese is doing the exact opposite. Her energy lately feels frantic, like she's trying to throw everything at the wall and see what sticks. Livestream rants, deleted tweets, messy brand launches, failed golf content. She's spiraling in public while Clark is leveling up behind the scenes. And that contrast has become the story. Reese had the moment. She had the world watching after LSU's championship run. Her image, bold, brash, unapologetically confident, was magnetic. But somewhere along the way, that confidence turned defensive. Instead of growing with the spotlight, she's fighting it. And let's be clear, she's not being pushed out. She's pushing herself out. Her recent outburst during a WNBA players' meeting, where she took a clear jab at Clark's LPGA deal, saying she doesn't need to run to other sports for validation, only solidified how disconnected she's become from where the league is going. Other players were reportedly stunned. Some were frustrated, and most were quiet, which says everything. It's not just about one comment. It's the pattern. While Clark builds bridges across industries, Reese keeps lighting matches. And the industry is noticing. Sponsorships aren't just drying up. They're disappearing altogether. Companies that once showed interest in Reese are now backing off, citing unpredictability and brand risk. Her image has become too unstable. And in a world where athlete branding is a billion-dollar game, instability is a deal breaker. Even her attempt to dip into the golf space, clearly inspired by Clark's major move, completely flopped. It didn't feel organic. It didn't feel earned. And fans weren't buying it. The response was cold, and the numbers didn't lie. View counts were low, engagement was worse, and brands took note. Meanwhile, Clark's Super Bowl campaign is already being talked about as one of the most anticipated brand plays of 2026. She's not just breaking into golf. She's redefining what a women's athlete can be in today's media landscape. The split between the two couldn't be more obvious. Reese is reactive. Clark is proactive. Reese posts cryptic tweets after every Clark headline. Clark doesn't respond. She just secures the next one. And every time, the gap grows. Financially, it's not even close. Clark's earnings are projected to exceed $20 million this year. She's officially the highest-paid woman in basketball history. And she hasn't even peaked yet. She's still recovering, still climbing, and still keeping her composure while doing it. Reese, by comparison, is facing a dramatic drop in earnings. The brand deals are thinning out. The opportunities are fewer. And every meltdown makes the road back even harder. The emotional toll of that kind of decline, it's showing. Her live streams are more chaotic. Her captions are angrier. She's lashing out at critics, accusing the media of bias, and doubling down on a persona that just isn't hitting like it used to. And it's not just affecting her. It's affecting women's sports. Because while Caitlin Clark is redefining the image of the modern woman athlete, Angel Reese is unintentionally reinforcing the stereotypes we've been trying to move away from. That women in sports are too emotional, too dramatic, too unpredictable. And that's a problem. Industry insiders are sounding the alarm. They're worried that Reese's behavior is setting back progress. That instead of lifting up the WNBA and expanding its reach, she's pulling attention away from the game and toward herself for the wrong reasons. And fans? They're starting to check out. They're not connecting with the drama anymore. They're connecting with the consistency, with the professionalism, with the image Clark has crafted so carefully over the past year. That's why Clark is being invited into every room. The boardrooms, the marketing meetings, The campaign brainstorms. She's the athlete brands want to build around. She shows up, she performs, and she doesn't bring baggage. In a sport that's still fighting for coverage and sponsorship, she's the MVP both on and off the court. And Reese? Right now, she's a cautionary tale. A story about what happens when you stop adapting. When the controversy becomes the brand. When a strategy disappears. But here's the thing. This doesn't have to be the end for Angel Reese. She still has the talent, the potential, the name recognition. But what she doesn't have right now is control of her image, of her brand, of the narrative. She needs to pull back, recenter, decide what kind of legacy she actually wants to build. Because if she keeps chasing relevance instead of rebuilding respect, she's going to fade. Not because the industry forced her out, but because she refused to grow. Clark's not her enemy. She's her wake-up call. Because while Clark is out here becoming a symbol of everything women's sports can be, Reese is getting lost in the noise she helped create. The longer she keeps reacting to Clark's wins instead of creating her own, the harder it's going to be to stay in the game. And that's where we're at. One athlete is leading the charge, signing deals that make headlines for the right reasons, pulling the league into a brighter, more sustainable future. The other is watching from the sidelines, caught in a loop of online drama and professional misfires. This rivalry? It's no longer about who talks the loudest. It's about who moves the smartest. Caitlin Clark isn't just winning. She's shaping the future. And unless Angel Reese is ready to change course, she's going to be left behind. Caitlin Clark has already made it clear. She's not here for the drama. She's here to dominate. And she's doing it in a way that feels effortless, calculated, and honestly, kind of brutal if you're Angel Reese watching from the outside. Because Clark isn't just outperforming Reese on the court. She's eclipsing her off of it. She's reshaping what it means to be a women's athlete in the modern era. Her $8 million golf deal wasn't just impressive. It was unprecedented. No woman in basketball had ever stepped into a cross-sport endorsement space that successfully, especially not during injury recovery. Let's stop and appreciate the timing. While Clark was sidelined and rehabbing, Reese had every opportunity to take the lead. The court was hers. The media was looking for someone to fill that Clark-shaped void. But instead of capitalizing, Reese spun out. What did we get? A parade of self-inflicted LS, meltdowns on livestream, passive-aggressive tweets, a now infamous WNBA players meeting where Reese shaded Clark's golf deal and got iced out by her peers. Her line about not needing validation from other sports sounded like defiance. But to the room, it sounded like bitterness. And that's the energy that's followed her all year. That chip-on-the-shoulder approach that once made her a fan favorite is now being read as combative, defensive, and worse, unprofessional. The audience is shifting. The industry is shifting. And Angel Reese is stuck. What's even more telling is how Clark hasn't engaged at all. She hasn't acknowledged the shade, the comments, or the tension. No quotes, no subtweets, not even a fake smile interview clip. She doesn't need to respond because she's too busy building a global brand. While Reese is arguing on Instagram, Clark is prepping to headline a $15 million Super Bowl campaign. Think about that. The biggest advertising platform in American media. And Clark is front and center. She's not just making history. She's becoming the standard. She's the athlete parents point to. Brands bet on. Young players want to become. Meanwhile, Reese is at risk of becoming what every agent warns their clients not to turn into, a moment instead of a movement. And you can feel the shift in every part of the game. Look at attendance. Clark's presence boosts ticket sales. Teams literally move arenas when she comes to town. The vibe changes. Media shows up. Sponsors show up. Fans show up. When Reese plays, it's quieter. Not because she isn't skilled, but because the spectacle has overshadowed the sport. It's not just what happens during games. It's everything around them. Reese shows up late to events, skips media obligations, and has allegedly clashed with team staff. That doesn't go unnoticed. It trickles down. It affects team chemistry, brand confidence, and public trust. You can only post so many cryptic captions before people stop giving you the benefit of the doubt. And Reese's recent attempt to pivot into golf? That backfired fast. It was clearly a reaction to Clark's headline-making LPGA partnership. But instead of carving out her own lane, Reese looked like she was chasing someone else's. The videos didn't land. The branding didn't connect. The numbers were underwhelming. And worse, people saw through it. The message was loud and clear. This wasn't about building something new. It was about trying to stay in the conversation. Meanwhile, Clark's golf deal isn't a gimmick. It was a strategic move negotiated during her recovery. A long-term campaign with real financial weight, industry backing, and public interest. She didn't try to break into golf. The LPGA came to her. That's the difference. And that's the part that stings for Reese. Because it proves this isn't just about athletic ability. It's about brand identity, business acumen, emotional intelligence. Clark is all three. She plays smart on and off the court. She knows when to speak and when to stay silent. She doesn't overexpose herself. She lets her success do the talking. And that restraint, that's exactly why she keeps winning. Reese, by contrast, has treated attention like oxygen. But it's become a feedback loop. More drama, less impact. More visibility, less value. And the longer it continues, the harder it'll be to pivot. Even her own team is reportedly frustrated. Not with her skills, but with the distractions, the missed opportunities, the unnecessary tension. This could have been a powerhouse era for both of them. A golden age rivalry that elevated everyone. But that requires mutual growth. Mutual evolution. Reese didn't evolve, Clark did. And now the difference is undeniable. Clark's being celebrated as a pioneer, a professional, a force. Reese? She's being talked about like a warning. And yet, it's not too late. If Reese wants to shift the narrative, she has to stop reacting to Clark and start rebuilding herself. Focus on the game. Find a clear voice. Let go of the need to be the most talked about and aim to be the most respected. Because the truth is, Clark isn't her competition anymore. She's her mirror. Everything Reese could have had, Clark is showing it's possible. But not through drama. Through strategy. Through patience. Through vision. This isn't about who is louder. It's about who is smarter. So if you've been watching this unfold, if you've felt the shift in the air, drop a comment below. Has Angel Reese already lost the plot? Or does she still have time to write a new one? Do you think Clark's silent domination is the model for future athletes? Or is there still room for loud, bold personalities in the spotlight? Like the video if you followed this rivalry from the beginning. Share it with your friends who can't stop arguing about who the real face of the league is. And subscribe so you don't miss the next twist in this saga of ambition, fame, and fallout. Because if there's one thing we know for sure, Caitlin Clark is building a legacy. And Angel Reese? She's still deciding if she wants one.